Hello, and welcome to a long-awaited and belated jaw-jacking with James. Been busy doing a lot of building up my YouTube presence and doing some other things and about that. But I, have a small collection of sticky notes here, and some of them I've been putting off from others, and some I have been adding to, but I need to keep scratching them off, to signify that I've actually accomplished them. And so far, we're about one down, two to go, but got a bunch of things to do, but clicking my pen. But want to get these things off my desk, and I want to get the ideas out of my head and, out there so people know what I'm thinking. But before, getting that introduction out of the way, let's get to the meat and potatoes of what I want to talk about. And that would be, I want to talk about classic Western films. Doesn't that sound exciting? I'm sure it does, because I've been putting it off for almost, give or take a month. Not because I don't want to talk about it, but because I kind of just, dropped the ball on that. Fell off a horse, as it will. Didn't get to it. But I did. I'm getting to it now, and we're gonna try and get to it. And we're gonna start talking about it. Before we start, though, I also want to put out there that to prepare for this long talk, I'll have a link in my description of this episode. I will have a review of one of my favorite old westerns, Rio Bravo, directed by Howard Hawks and starring John Wayne. So that'll be in there, and you'll be able to see that. And without further ado, partner, let's ride off into the sunset and start talking about classic westerns. Oh yeah, good horse imitation. There we go. All right, in the groove. I guess where to start with classic westerns is that I would say I was kind of caught in the early 90s, give or take, of just whatever my dad put on TV, I started watching, and retrospectively, looking back, I'm like, basically anything he was watching, I would watch, and I would start liking, and then I'd become a fan of. So, one of those things is watching westerns. And we can have the debate of who's the better western star, your John Waynes, your Clint Eastwoods, your Randolph Scotts, your, like most leading men back then, were in a western of some kind. But the two really big ones are, of course, John Wayne and Clint Eastwood. And, as much as I enjoy John Wayne westerns, and, will, stop what I'm doing to watch them, I got to give it more to Clint Eastwood, obviously, because he did the more nitty-gritty and hard-hitting kind of westerns, and he kept making them into his later ages. I mean, the last western I can think of that he did was Unforgiven, and he had to be in two. He had to be at least. I believe he was in his 60s when he made that movie. I'm not sure. But then again, John Wayne's last, real movie he made, at an old age as well. That was The Shootist, and basically it was his, farewell tune before, his character in the movie was dying of cancer, and he too in real life was dying of cancer. But that's a whole nother hard-hitting, not very pleasant story that I won't go into right here. We're going to focus on Westerns, but you just for me it was just the adventure of it all, the change of pace, the when you think of Westerns, you think of the wide open spaces and cowboys versus Indians and all that other good jazz, but there's deeper meaning there, and the Westerns were basically everywhere from the dawn of film into the 70s, before the Westerns started to be phased out. Considering it had almost 50-year span of where TV shows, movies were Westerns, and like almost every actor from the early half of Hollywood, had been in a Western at some point. I mean, you wouldn't believe this, but even Arnold Schwarzenegger, guy speak, has a thick accent, nothing like anyone would in a Western, and he was in a Western. It's hard to believe, but he was. I forget what it's called, but I know he was. It's just so hard to fathom. But trying to think here, but you just have tons of Westerns I could talk about. But what I'm gonna talk about is one of them is, since I did a review on it, is Rio Bravo. Has John Wayne, Dean Martin in it. Dean Martin also, he made quite a few Westerns. It suited him well, and he made quite a few with Jimmy Stewart, who was also very good in Westerns. He had a different take. John Wayne, you knew he was going to make it, and nothing was going to get him down, but with Jimmy Stewart, there was a vulnerability to him, and he might not make it, and he gets beaten up a lot. And that's always a good real story I've always enjoyed. That's why whenever Jimmy Stewart gets in when I see him in a Western, I'm like, I'm going to watch it because I know he's good at it. Him and John Wayne did a few films together. I mean, there was The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Yeah, I think I got the title right. And then he was in John Wayne's last film, The Shootist. And you're really hitting the hard notes there with how good it is. But I want to just get it out that it was a good Western. Kind of lost my train of thought there because I'm multi. You have multiple thoughts, but you want to try to get the right ones out in time. That's what I'm having right now. I probably should have wrote down a script, but I did not. I wanted to try to get the thoughts out as quickly as possible. But that's on me. But moving on, keeping to topic. Something in my eye. Ow. One thing I've always noticed about some old westerns, and next time you watch an older western, try to take note here of if the movie has where one hero or group, like or settlers, a small town, or begotten downtrodden people, and they're being heckled or raided, or just generally set upon by a man or a group of men or a bunch of outlaws. And if there's a dynamic of a older bad guy bandit, and he has like a younger brother or a son or some dynamic like that, where there's the older one and a younger one. It's either a son or a younger brother or nephew or something like that. And the older one is, of course, evil. He's a bad guy. But he has some reasoning behind it. And he goes far, but not far enough. He tries to think, sometimes I will, sometimes I won't be a bad guy. You get the point. But he always has the younger version, younger bad guy, son or younger brother or whatnot, or nephew. He's always the one that takes it way too far or goes further and does more evil things and keeps escalating how much more evil things he does. Like, if they take cattle, but he also shoots the cow hands or does something else bad to them. And then when he finally, that younger guy who always does the bad things but worse, finally gets his comeuppance by getting killed by the other side. The other one, the older bad guy, who's either his father or older brother, laments at it's like, oh, he was just a kid. He was a good man. He was a good kid. And I'm like, this guy was a fully grown adult doing terrible things because you told him to do the terrible things. I mean, it doesn't make any sense why you do that. And I don't know. It was just something that I don't know if it was some type of thing that they wrote back then. I'd have to look into it or find something like, why did they do that? And there's another trope that's always kind of bugged me is that, but I'm aware of it and I know why they do it, is that they kind of have a hit or miss kind of dynamic with when they portray Native Americans. Like, on one hand, there's always the one that talks like a stereotypical Native American, or they would call them Indians or Injuns, and they'd say, old white man, come to land, many moons, go forth. And, they talk in a kind of slow thing because they're not used to talking English. I'm just like, you do know that they could talk normal, right? And sometimes they have ones that are talk normal, and even they're aware of it within the film, and it's one of those funny things where it's like, you could just have them talk normally and it'll be fine, right? But that's just a personal thing with me. I understand, but at the same time, it's just like, it's weird. It's one of those things that kind of takes me out of it. It's like, you couldn't just have them talk normal. Yeah, but I've also kind of had the there are some westerns mostly made right when they converted to when film converted from black and white to color. Some westerns, they put everybody's dressing very brightly and very colorfully, and that just, in terms of what was back then, not everybody dressed in bright red, button shirts and had big scarves. And that was a thing with Randolph Scott westerns. Not to say they weren't bad, they were just kind of silly. And little thing about Randolph Scott was that he, was a known homosexual, but I guess it was just kind of like accepted since he was actually really good at making movies, and he was a very big guy, and he wore a tiny hat whenever he was the hat was too small for him. I mean, most people back then wore bigger hats. I mean, like they wore bigger hats to keep the sun in the desert out of their eyes, and he wears this slightly small hat, and it looks funny, and it's like you have this big guy with a little hat, a very bright, brightly colored scarf, and he has a, brightly colored shirt, they're, bold colors of, either yellow offset with purple or whatnot. And it's just like, oh, they, just let him do that on set for a film. Like, you don't think anybody would be like, I don't think cowboys dressed like that back then. But, that's one of those funny things if you ever, want to watch a Western, and, Randolph Scott, he's not hard to find. He's he is very recognizable in terms of film, and big solid reference in the classic Western comedy spoof, Blazing Saddles, and they say it's like, you do it for Randolph Scott, and everybody takes off their hat for him and says his name and everything, and that's pretty funny. But yeah, there's also, I'm trying to think, damn, it's hitting me, and, sometimes you can remember actors' names in your head, but, sometimes you forget, and it's like you have the face in your head, the movies they're in, and, it doesn't come to you, and, talking about it, it's made clear to me now. I can remember. There's also some TV westerns like Steve McQueen's early career. He played in Wanted Dead or Alive, where he had a sawed-off Winchester rifle called Mare's Leg. I forget what his character's name was, but he was a bounty hunter, and it was a pretty good show. There's trying to think what's Gunsmoke with what's his name, Marshall Dillon. No, the actor's name. He's good friends with, he was another good friend of John Wayne, and John Wayne even did the intro for the first pilot episode for Gunsmoke. But damn it, what's the actor's name? Damn. Gunsmoke ran for 20 years, the longest running sitcoms. Can't remember the name of the actor. Shit, I hate when that happens. This is one of those brain farts I'm talking about, but what was it? No. It'll probably come to me at an inopportune time, and I'll just blurt it out. But it'll come to me at some point. Another show that I always enjoyed, and it's flared my fascination with owning a lever-action rifle at some point soon. Either a Henry or a Winchester at some point. Just wish they weren't so expensive. Was the The Rifleman with Chuck Connor. That was a really good show. I always enjoyed him, but his kid, his kid on the show was kind of annoying, and I didn't hate the actor. I just thought the kid character was annoying, but I understood why he was in there. I just found it annoying. That's all. It goes true with like most like kid characters in a movie. Like you have the adult, but then there's just that kid there who's always just there to be, annoying. It's like sometimes you don't always need to add a kid to something. Like back then, for some reason, it was always necessary to add a kid into like a show or a movie, just so it can appeal to the kid demographic, or some mandate from like a producer or exec who it's like just add a kid in it for some reason. Just add a kid there, add a kid here. But yeah, I've never really understood that, and it's one of those things that's always it's the little things that bug me in some westerns and shows, like random annoying kid that's going to be in the whole movie. Yay. But trying to think of another one. There was Cheyenne. That was a really good one. What was it? Badlands or Dead? Yeah. See, once again, you have. I've watched quite a few TV westerns along with TV movies, so I'm trying to narrow everything down, and sometimes you blend it together and you don't want it to blend together, but these are the ramblings I have in my head, and I try to articulate it, and hearing the sound, hearing it back to me, I'm like, wow, I think I'm crazy, but crazy in a good way about movies, but hopefully you enjoy it. But these are my thoughts out loud. Anyway, to get back on track, I'm trying to think. Just trying to think of these. There's with what was it called again? With Gun with Travel, with something Boone. It was Tom Boone, Nine Boone. What was it? I'm looking it up right now. What was it? Yeah, there he is. Yeah, Richard Boone, who was Have Gun Will Travel. That was a big one. That was a really good movie. And it's funny, Richard Boone was Have Gun Will Travel, and he played a really good guy. Funny enough, like when he did other movie westerns, he was usually always the bad guy, like Big Jake, Shootist, Rio Conchos. I'm looking at it, yet I know I'm mispronouncing it. Umbre and whatnot. Yeah, he usually, for some reason, played a bad guy a lot. Not to say it wasn't a bad thing. He was actually really good at it. But I don't know why he didn't try to do a good guy role. As far as I know, I think he did. I just can't think of the movie right now. But he either played an anti-hero or the straight-up bad guy. But from Rio Chotos, I believe what it's called. There's this one really great part, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen put, not just in a western but in a movie. He's talking to a crazy ex-Confederate general, I believe, in Mexico, and they're working with I think the Apache Indians, and one of the Indian chiefs and Richard Boone's character are mortal enemies in the movie. and they meet up, and they know each other because the Apache chiefs. No, it wasn't Apache. I think they were Comanche. But anyway, the Indian chief knows who he is, and and Richard Boone's character knows who he is because the Indian chief killed his family, and Richard Boone wants revenge on him. I forget what his name of his character is in it, but I'm just going to call him Richard Boone. But funny thing is, they're in this kind of like incomplete office because it's a mansion that hasn't been built yet, but it's like the outlook of a kind of looking like an office. Anyway, there's this scale in a glass case, a scale for measuring the weight of like gold and silver. Anyway, it's on the table, and the Indian chief and Richard Boone's character get into an argument, and a way to really throw it off is that Richard Boone takes the big scale that's in a square kind of glass case. He just picks up the whole thing and throws it at this Indian chief, breaking it all over his, top of his head and his face. And it's one of those, movies that it's one of those scenes in a movie that I'm just like, that was well worth doing because it's hilarious. It's one of those funny moments that you could just rewatch, and it's meant to be like kind of serious, but I couldn't help but laugh hysterically at it because I thought it was great. But another good classic Western sub genre within Westerns is something I didn't get to want to talk about before I forget is the craze of oddly enough, because of what I mentioned before, Rio Bravo, it did really well in Italy, and it sparked the spaghetti western craze in Italy, and it's how Clint Eastwood went from just a TV star to a megastar, because him and a Italian director, damn it, I can't even. I hate that. Sergio Leone. There we go. I was about to get really angry at myself. It's like you forgot one of the most important, spaghetti western directors of all time. Really, you forgot? This is me yelling at myself. Yeah, Sergio Leone. Making the Good, the Bad, the Ugly series, and all the other Italian directors that started making. Really dirty, really gritty, really violent, and it wasn't a bad thing. It was very good, spaghetti westerns. You'd get the, and it really helped Clint Eastwood become a household name and an international name, and I think that's what gives him the slight edge because, he got, more well-known, and he's done a lot more really, really nitty-gritty westerns, and I've seen quite a few good ones, quite a few weird ones, and there's a few really bad ones mixed in there, like another one of Clint Eastwood's co-stars, Lee Van Cleef. He was a big Western star and regular star as it is, but there are a few like lower budget films that he made, in Italy or Spain, and some of them I hope they paid him well, because some of them in some scenes he's the only guy speaking English. And because some of the footage is just, some of it's in English translated and some of it's not, some of it is, and some of it's completely in Italian with only Lee Van Cleef speaking his English lines. and I find that funny. But he's another big one I love. He was in the Good, the Bad, the Ugly series, especially in the last one, and it was one of the great westerns. One of the best soundtracks. I mean, you can't go wrong with the duel in the graveyard between the good, the bad, and the ugly, and all that sound. I'd like to play it, but on copyright. But I'll have that. I'll try to. I will get that linked in in my description, so you can hear it. The all important theme. You've probably heard it before and didn't realize it, but you blankly have. The that sort of thing. But there's a whole song to it, and it's in a movie, a really good movie. You hear the song, and then you watch the movie, and then you'd be like, "Wow, that was a good recommendation. You're welcome." And you know what? I'm all out of ideas at the moment, so if more come to me, I'll probably make another episode about it. But I wanted to try to talk about talk about classic westerns, get it out there, and so the good people hear the good word, and the good word is you should like, follow, and subscribe if you so choose to Jawjacking with James, or my YouTube, or my link to my review page on Instagram. Every little bit helps motivate me to do this. It shows that people like what I have to say, and giving a like, giving a follow, it's free of charge. And it helps me, most of all. But it also helps you, because it lets me know that you like what I'm doing, so I can make more of this stuff. Mutually beneficial motivation, You like it, I know that you want to see it, and then you come back to watch more, and then I'll know that you liked it, and I come back and make more. It's a system that could work, but it's all up to you. I don't want to, hamstring you or guilt trip you, but make a kind suggestion that you should give me that little ego boost of the day. But anyway, I want to thank you, the listener, for taking the time to listen, and I'll see you on the next one. You have yourself a good day.